thing is a list, and inside this is a tuple of list, and like one more thing is that T3 list 2. We have this, its inner element is list also. So in which scenario we will prefer T3, in which scenario we will prefer T3 list, and in which scenario we will prefer T3 list 2. So first let us understand in which scenario we will prefer T3 and T3 list. Difference between tuple and list. Okay, tuple, uh, in the tuple we can both can store the multiple value, like the both can store the heterogeneous value, but tuple are not mutable. So if we define like this tuple, we can't write like the let us insert cell below. So we can't change the part of value of a tuple. Suppose I want to change t2 equal t1 equal to 5. Suppose I want to change this. So it will show an error. Tuple object doesn't support item assignment. So it is immutable. So tuple are immutable. So immutable. You can't change the part of a tuple. You can change whole tuple. You can reassign, like insert cell below. You can reassign this whole T2 again. Like here 4. You can do this, but you can change a part of a tuple. So that's why this property is called immutable. So recording has stopped. Staff member, please initialize the recording again. I will wait for here 1 to 2 minutes. Till that time, the people who are still confused about the list and tuple, they can post their query. I will take some water. I will take 1 minute break.
Recording is still going on. If anyone can also verify that.
Okay, so few Why are you using tuple if we already had list in our bucket? Any significance? Yeah, as I explained that lists are mutable. We can change the part of the list. Lists are expandable, but tuple are not. Suppose I want to expand it, like the T2 is this much. T2 have the 4 element. Then I want to T2 dot append. T2 dot append something, say 78, and print T2. T2. It is no tuple object has no attribute append and no anything you can't add like this. So list you can increase the size. It is on demand you can increase or decrease, but uh, tuple you can't. So if you don't know the size in advance, you can't use the tuple. If you're like the size can like the size is not fixed, it needs to be changed, then you have to use the list. Will adding more than one element in one index work in list? Will adding more than, yes, but that has to be not one element, but that has to be some tuple or list. Like suppose here you want the L5. L5 is this. Suppose I want insert below, then L5. Suppose I change L5 1. 1 I want to change as a tuple a comma 1 and print L5. So this. So 3 is replaced. Even you can append this A1 at last. So suppose so here, so if the size is dynamic in nature, we can't use the tuple, we have to use list. And if the inner element like the, so that's why in this case, if the here, if the outer list, outer thing is tuple here, so we can't add more than 3 entry here in T3. But in T3 list, we can have as many as inside the tuple as we want. So if we have only 3, say we have a students in a class, we know that every class will have 100 students. So this outer entry can also be the tuple of 100 entries. But if the scenario is that there might be in some class 50 students, some class 70 students, some class on the go, some student will be take new admission, some student will leave the courses, then we have outer thing, we have to use the list. And for the inner thing, these things like the difference between T3 list and T2 list is that inside each item is again the list here in T3 list 2. So having these things, you can change the association of A1 and 100 is fixed. So if you don't want to change, like A1 will be always attached to 100. So this whole thing has to be replaced. You can't like the give here A180. So if the need is that, like the XY coordinate are fixed. So the both XY coordinate can't should not be like the, if there is a specific meaning to a particular tuple like XY coordinate, then they should be a part of a tuple. But if you want it to change a part of thing, then inside this thing also should be a list. But here again, you can increase the size because this is a list, but here you can't change the size of inside element. So I hope I make a difference. I I have explained the huge case of difference between list and tuple and the storage and um, the critical difference between the list and tuple. I explained you guys and you got it. So still, if you have confusion, you can ask. Otherwise, we will take a 5 minutes break and then we will continue for the if condition. So I will wait for 2 minutes for any doubt. So it is 6:13. So I will wait for 6:15 till 6:15. If anybody has any doubt, difference between list or tuple, then he or she may post the doubt. Yes, you can copy the data stored in a tuple to a list. So if there are no doubt, we'll meet at 6:30. So I'm giving a 15 minutes break so that you can have some refreshment. And we will try to wrap up by 7 or 7:15. We will cover the set. We will cover the if condition. And dictionary we will cover in the next day. Can you make a list of tuple? Yeah, we can make a list of a tuple. We can add the number of tuple, but we can't. We will not be able to add the like here. This is called a list of a tuple. We can add more entry. There are 3 entry. We can have the 4 entry, but inside this element we cannot add or mutate it. Like we can't have the any inner item with 3 elements. Every item of this list, like the every no sorry this tuple, once this is defined as 2 tuple, we can't expand it to 3 tuple, a tuple with 3 elements. So let's take a break for 15 minutes, have some refreshment, and then we will have the final session for the day, and we will give some assignment for refreshment, and we'll support all your queries through the Teams, or we'll notify you through the mail where to post the doubts and how we will support you. So you can take a 15 minutes break now. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I think IIT Guwahati Lohit Hostel has some network issue right now due to storm. So today we will be closing our session here only, and we will send or we will upload the files for today's session, and you will get it from that files menu. Okay, and we will again resume our session on next Saturday. Okay.